Hey, this is Joe for the Joe Wants Project, and you're watching Show Me Your Pick right here on YouTube with Fruitcake Tony. Now back to the show.
We are Motorhead, and we play rock and roll.
Hey, what's happening?
Hello.
What's up, people?
What's going on? Show me your pick, Motorhead.
Motorhead.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at all these people we got in here.
We got a full house. We got, who's here tonight? We got Sandra and Brandon and Tommy. And Charles Green in the house, and CK.
Yeah.
CK.
What's up, CK?
It's like a sitcom.
What's going on, Tom?
And Charles, I have to tell you officially on the air, your stories, like your club days, kind of LA stories, man.
Oh, thanks, man.
I could listen for 20 hours, man. You know, I mean, I was sitting on the couch, like, you know, sitting there not feeling great, but not commenting, but I was listening the whole time, man. It was awesome stories.
I'm glad you enjoyed that, man. It was great telling stories.
It makes you want to go back in time and hang out with Charles back in the 70s.
And makes you wish you could have, yeah.
Yeah, no shit.
Good times, guys.
Right.
Good times.
And you tell a great story too.
Yeah.
What it's about.
That's cool, man.
CK, how you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, Brendan. What's going on, sir?
Awesome. That's great to see you.
Yeah, it is.
Nice to be here. I feel like I know you people. I'm with you every Saturday night in the chat.
CK, right? I love talking to you.
It's the highlight of my week.
Absolutely love talking to you, man.
Well, it's great to put a
face with a name
with a face. Yeah.
So much musical knowledge in here. It's unbelievable. That means I don't have to think. I like it.
I like it when there's people in the room that have way more musical knowledge than me. I can just sit there and go.
Which is everyone for me.
Well, for me too.
Nice to see you, CK. Welcome, dude.
Thanks for having me, Fruitcake Tony. I've been a fan of your show since I first saw it, and I've watched it every Saturday night since. Never missed a show.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Love it.
Nice to see you, dude. Nice to meet you finally.
It's nice to be seen.
Yeah. We got a good show on tap. We got a very, very special guest with us. Yeah, a lot of you know him. We could not have a Motorhead show and not have him here on the show. Yeah, it would be a sin. Yeah. So let's go ahead and bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Marshall, NeanderPaul, KSLX in the morning. There he is.
Jesus, I better be good. You guys have set a stage now. You got. I'd better be good. If I suck, I could take the whole show down. It'd be like Tuesday and Saturday.
You're already good enough. We could just stop now. It's already been a great show.
I'm done. All right.
Okay, see you next week.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Tune in next time.
Here. Nice to see you, Paul.
Nice to be seen. Thank you, all of you, for the kind welcome. It is really cool to be able to put faces to the names. Again, we've all been talking for so long in the chat on various nights, on various channels. And to be invited in here, I'm very humbled and flattered to meet all of you face to face. So thank you so much for the welcome.
Yeah.
You rock, Paul.
Our pleasure.
You rock.
We appreciate you being here. Absolutely. Motorhead.
Yeah.
Been waiting on this show. Yeah, man.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah. We got
Go ahead.
No.
I was going to say, I love me some Motorhead. And I think that the fact that they are not, we'll start right off, not acknowledged in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is an absolute crime as being the band that invented thrash metal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Invented it.
Yeah, man.
Agreed.
I agree.
When you invent something, you should be acknowledged as being the greatest of all time at it. Let's face it, Black Sabbath invented heavy metal, and Motorhead made it go fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
say Sabbath invented metal.
I think the whole rock world would not be the same. It wouldn't be a Metallica as we know it.
Nope.
And that list of bands goes on and on.
Pantera.
Yeah.
None of them.
You know, Metallica, I mean, not Metallica, but Motorhead, they appealed just as much to the punk scene as they did to the rock scene. It was almost 50-50.
Lemmy felt they were more punk than metal, didn't he?
They were just punks with long hair.
Right.
Yeah, yet all along he would always claim they're just rock and roll. That's all they play rock and roll.
Didn't he always say they were heavy blues?
And they, well, when you go back to it and you listen to the early stuff, and I mean, Jesus, through their entire career, it's really Chuck Berry played very loud. It's 12-bar blues or rockabilly, and it's just played at extreme volume. But things like Going to Brazil and I'm So Babby I Don't Care and all that stuff, those are all 50s doo-wop songs because that's where Lemmy came from. He was, and you hear this, I forget where he said it. He might have said it to Henry Rollins, and he says, I remember a time before rock and roll. And when you think about that, there was music before rock and roll, and then there was everything after. And all of us, for the most of us, Charles maybe excluded, you might have been just a child when it happened. But we don't remember a time before rock and roll. We don't remember before a time that Rocket 88 happened, or Bill Haley, or Little Richard, or any of the greats that started out. Lemmy does. Lemmy was there when Patsy Cline and Tony Bennett and Perry Como were considered popular music.
Yeah.
And then rock and roll happened, and Lemmy was like, he's like the tipping point of that.
Yep.
That's well said.
Yeah.
Definitely right on the edge, right at the apex. He brought it over.
Yeah.
75. So I remember being 14 years old. I believe it was Don Kirshner's rock concert. It used to come on very late night in those days. Yeah. And they would showcase Motorhead constantly. That was the one thing that stood out from all those shows. And as a kid, hearing Motorhead, my parents did not want me listening to that. I mean, they were like, what the hell is that? But I loved it. I mean, I loved it. And as a small little kid watching Lemmy, and I believe it in the beginning, it wasn't Filthy and Fast Eddie, but
Larry Wallace and Lucas Fox.
Exactly. Right. So that's the original trio, and I have very, very faint memories of that trio. But I have more vivid memories of Fast Eddie and Filthy, and so on. But the fact that they were getting played airtime on television in 1975, that's pretty cool. Kind of amazing because their music was not mainstream. It was almost underground.
Well, that first album didn't get released originally until later on. The one that they made with Lucas Fox and Larry Wallace would eventually come out as On Parole later on. Because the record companies and nobody thought it was going to sell. Nobody thought there was a market for it. So they had to really create a demand before the record companies went, I think it was, I want to say United Artists might have been the record company that had the first one. And it wasn't until they signed with Bronze and put out a couple more records that the first album, the first original trio of Motorhead, they were already with Filthy and Fast Eddie when that record came out after the fact.
There you go.
Yep. I mean, you
Before
got
we
to. You
get
got.
too deep, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if you got they got the best nicknames, man. You got people like
They do.
Filthy, Fast Eddie, Robo, Wizzo. You know, come on, man. How do you not get into a band like that?
Yeah, Wurzel.
I know. Wurzel, yeah.
Sorry, Sandra, go ahead.
Anyways, before we get too deep into it, let's address the chat. Say hello to some people.
Who we got, Sandra?
There's people
We
in there.
have got, starting from the bottom, Mr. Mitch Heyman, Dan of
Hey,
New
Mitch.
Jersey, the original Paramutant, Brian S. is with us,
Hey,
Robot
Brian.
Master Switch, Randy Price, Terry
Randy.
Himes,
What's up, robot?
Nelson Rodriguez,
Nelson.
Nelson.
Mitch Heyman, Janice Lala, Christopher Sawa, Lenny Lou, and Mary.
Hi, Lenny and Mary.
Hi,
Ladies.
love you, ladies. Music Therapy Laz, Rick Hefner,
Laz.
Brendan B. Squared.
Yep.
Dwight Bailey, Hitman, is in the house. That seems to be
Dwight,
it.
what's going on, buddy?
David
Thanks
Ennis.
to all
How you
tuning in.
doing?
If you're just rolling in, we are talking Motorhead with
Yeah.
NeanderPaul, CK, Charles Green, Ben Tom, Brendan Butt Cheeks, Fruitcake, and myself. Thanks for being here. If you would hit that subscribe, ring the bell, leave a like and a comment. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for being here, everyone. Nice to
Yes.
see you guys.
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
you interviewed Lemmy at a very, very young age. Am I correct?
That was, yeah. So Lemmy is partially responsible for why I do what I do. And I've been doing, for those of you, just a little quick background, 30 some odd years now, 36 years of radio. And I started out doing college radio at a small college outside of Boston. And I was doing a heavy metal show, a specialty show. And this is 1986, 87. And I get a little note from the program director. It's like 3 sentences. It says, Motorhead, Sunday, the channel, interview, ? And I'm 18 years old. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. So I get my little tape recorder and a microphone, and I show up on a Sunday afternoon because the show's a Sunday night show. It was Motorhead, the Cro-Mags, and Malice. Now, this is a great example of Motorhead hooking up with a band that's a hardcore band, because the Cro-Mags weren't a traditional metal band. They were more of a crossover band, like DRI and some of those other thrashier bands. And Malice, who are a footnote in heavy metal history. And we get there in the afternoon. It's me and a couple of friends of mine, and I have to go do the interview. So my friends go to the bar and they go drinking. So I knock on the bus door at like 2:30 in the afternoon, and I still have my really bad Boston accent. So I knock on the door, and the door opens, and the guy goes, "What do you want?" I go, "I'm here for the interview, the Motorhead interview. I'm supposed to talk to Lemmy." And the guy goes, "Hang on," shuts the door, and like. 15 minutes go by, the door opens, goes, "All right, come on." So I get on the bus, and I'm actually talking to Wurzel. Wurzel is sitting across from me at the table. Lemmy's still in the back of the bus. The bus smells like vomit and pizza and stale beer, and it's the worst. It's the worst and the greatest thing of all time.
Right.
So I'm sitting across, and I set up my recorder and everything, and I start talking to Wurzel before anything really gets going. And he looks me straight in the face. He goes, "I can't say anything, but I'm leaving the band." What to do with that? It was like right out of Almost Famous. You know what I mean? It was like that whole, you are the enemy, and I got it on tape because I'd already had tape rolling.
Yeah.
So he goes, "Can't say anything. Don't say nothing." I'm like,
all right.
this is 1987. I think Wurzel stuck around until the early 90s the first time. So then Lem comes out and cigarette in his mouth. The curtain opens, comes over, sits down. "Oi, what are we talking about?" Well, what do you mean, what are we talking about? You just put out Orgasmatron? So I'm a kid. I'm an 18-year-old kid. While we're in the middle of it, there's food on the table, and Lemmy goes, "You want to donut it?" I'm like, "Fuck no. I don't know how long those have been there. Those are gross." I wanted one, but I was like, no. This is a disease-ridden bus.
What they did with those donuts?
Yeah, I have no idea how long they were there. Some of them had bites taken out of them. What the hell am I doing? So, famously, Motorhead, we're the band that if we moved next door to you, your lawn would die. That was the old phrase that they would use. So we're in the middle of having a conversation about the new tour and what it's like to be doing the Orgasmatron and all that. And in the middle of the interview, this big 30-gallon gray, the garbage barrels that you see at shows, like with the garbage bags in them, gets rolled in between us in the aisle, and they start plugging in those big Foster's cans, those big, like, I don't know what they're almost like a beer ball. They start jamming these things into this barrel and then dumping ice into it on the bus at 2:30 in the afternoon, 9 hours before the band is going on stage. So Lemmy says, "You want a beer?" And I go, "No," because we have tape rolling. So I proceed to drink Foster's for a couple of hours with Lemmy and Wurzel. And after I get off the bus, I've already got a buzz before we walk into the show. We get into the show, and I'm thinking, this is like the Henry Rollins, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Right. They get in, they're in the middle of the show. Malice comes out, does their thing. Cro-Mags come out and do their thing. There's a bunch of punks there, and I mean like flight jackets, red laces, that whole deal. And they all come in, and they're in the front of the stage while Motorhead is playing. I don't know what song they were doing. It might have been Iron Fist or Damage Case, whatever it was. But Lemmy's playing, and he's got that beautiful wood-carved Rickenbacker, that 4001 or 4003 bass. And he's playing that, and he's doing his thing, and the mic is up here. Hey, for the Damage Case! And fucking, the kids are gobbing at him. They're spitting on him. Well, Lemmy's not having it. He takes his bass off in the middle of the song and swings it down and just misses hitting this skinhead on the side of the skull. And you hear the bass clang off the monitor, which, by the way, was probably the best note played all night. And the whole club. There's this place called The Channel, which used to be the Boston Tea Party where Zeppelin played. But that clang happens, and then he puts the bass back on. Nobody's spitting anymore. At the end of the show, he's like, "All right, we're not in England. This is my fucking stage, and nobody's gonna fucking spit. You want to fucking spit? You can get the fuck out." And like the crowd's like, "Yay, Lemmy! Don't hit us! Don't hit us!" And that was the beginning of multiple encounters with Motorhead over the years, and we'll have time to tell more of those stories as we get along. But that was my introduction as an 18-year-old kid to radio and the world of rock and roll, and I haven't looked back since. It was the greatest first experience I could possibly have.
Awesome introduction
in that situation.
That is so cool, Paul. That's
cool.
So cool.
That is,
and it was just like Almost Famous. It was like they're telling me shit and saying shit and talking about shit. And when you do what I do for a living, you hear stories that never get told. And that Wurzel one I never really told until after he passed, because I just thought it was like a secret in pro wrestling. You don't tell people. You don't expose the business. But once Wurzel passed, I felt that it was cool that we could tell the story.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's great.
That is awesome.
So cool, Paul. My God.
So, I mean, obviously, you're immediately you might have been a Motorhead fan before that, but immediately after that, you're like, oh yeah, this is my favorite band right now, forever.
Well, what was great is you were just when you played the clip at the beginning, when Lemmy comes out and goes, "We are Motorhead and we play rock and roll." I saw them on a couple of times, and the last time I saw him when he did it was in the early 2000s in Sacramento. He comes out and, "We are Motorhead. Are you all having a good time? We'll soon fucking fix that." And boom, right into the song. And it was like, his sense of humor was amazing. And it wasn't just him, but he was clearly the mastermind. But they were all very, very cool guys. Filthy was great. When I first saw them, it was Pete Gill from Saxon was on that tour playing drums. And they went through so many different lineup changes. Phil Campbell, when I met him the first time, had a Mr. Spock doll with him, and what he would do is take the Mr. Spock doll with him to the bar, because there were certain places where they would only serve you one drink at a time for their liquor law. So we'd order one for him and one for Mr. Spock. And then when they came out on stage, you saw that it was one of those original Star Trek dolls, with the outfit and stuff that is probably worth a shitload of money now, but to collectors. But it was hanging by a little hangman's noose on the amplifier, on the Marshall amplifier. Phil was playing.
That's great.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
No.
Yeah.
He
Robot
definitely
says he
made-
heard Overkill when he was 14, and that was pretty much it. Hooked by the third bar. I'd have to
Sure.
agree. Yep.
Paul,
Yeah.
Paul, would you say that Overkill, the opening track, was like the precursor to what became thrash in the 80s?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think all of it. I mean, the song Motorhead. I mean, all their stuff. I would say that, look, they did it first. You could say Overkill. I mean, that double kick drum thing was. Unfortunately, Motorhead it goes alongside another band that sort of was partially responsible for thrash, and that's Accept. And Accept were doing Fast as a Shark and some of that stuff in the 70s and early 80s as well. So they sort of run parallel. Lemmy should get credit for it because they were the bigger band and they were the first band. But yeah, I would say Overkill is the template. I mean, if you're a band and you're starting to become a thrash band, that first, Phil Taylor's double kick drum is the first. It's the precursor to blast beats. I mean, just people did it faster and faster and faster and faster. But Phil Taylor took what Ginger Baker started and just played it faster. That was the thing with Motorhead, and because it was methamphetamine that was making them do it. They were high as fuck. They were speeding because they were up for days at a time. They never slept. So, as you know, when you see a band live, every band that you see live plays faster in the live environment because of adrenaline. Now throw some methamphetamine on top of it.
Yeah.
And Motorhead played faster and faster and faster. Yeah, I would say Overkill. There's a whole bunch of them, but Overkill is the one that certainly is the one that everybody knows outside of Ace of Spades. Overkill seems to be the second most known Motorhead song amongst people who don't know Motorhead songs.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's their best record. I don't know if you can see that. But
I got a question for Paul.
Yeah, all right.
Did you see Lemmy with Hawkwind ever?
No, I'm not that old.
Okay.
I'm not that old, and it's funny because I do have. Oh, let me see if I can find it. I actually do have Lemmy's first band on CD. They're called Sam Gopal, and they're awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're awful. They are terrible. But I saw the CD and I'm like, I gotta have that.
Right.
It might be.
It's funny.
It's over here. I'll grab it. You guys do your. I'll find it.
Rick Hefner says his introduction to Lemmy was Hawkwind album called Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do. He played on.
Yeah.
Do. It's different than the Sound of Music. Do re mi.
And Fruitcake, it should also be noted that Lemmy was Jimi Hendrix's roadie and used to score him acid. And he said he was very generous with the acid. He would give me 3 hits and take 7 himself.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
And he roadied for Jimi Hendrix.
I knew about him as a roadie, a Hendrix roadie, but I didn't know those details.
Yeah, it's in the film. See the film behind me? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about working for him, and he said one of my jobs besides roadieing for him was to score him acid in London. He goes, I'd get 10 hits, he'd take 7 and go on stage, and I'd get 3. He goes, he was a very generous man.
Yeah, Lemmy was more. He was more Hendrix's drug scoring guy than he was his roadie more than anything else.
Sounds like it.
They needed somebody. This is going to sound awful, but they needed somebody they could sacrifice. If he got caught,
he got busted. Yeah,
if he got busted, Lemmy was like, "Fuck it, I'll do it." So here's Lemmy's first band. Well, not the first band is the Rockin' Vickers, which never did anything. But this is Lemmy's. There's him right there on the far left.
Yep.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
They're awful. But there was no way I wasn't going to buy this.
Of course.
Who's the guy with the stash and the orange coat?
Where did you find it?
I have no idea who that guy is. It's one of those things where you're looking through, you go to the CD store, whether it's Amoeba or whatever store your favorite CD store is of the choice. And you're looking through the rack and you see this name and you go, why do I know that name? And I go, Sam Gopal. Who the fuck is Sam Gopal? Lemmy! And I immediately I was like, I don't care how much this costs. Take my money. Now, that said, I've listened to it less than once. I mean, I got like two songs into it and I'm like, oh no.
Less than once.
No.
That's
You know,
great.
it's organs and psychedelic, and it's awful.
What year is that, Paul?
Jesus, hang on.
Get the glasses out.
It's got to be
Break out the
pre-Hawkwind, right?
I'm not exactly sure,
60 something? Has to be 60, 70.
but
60.
it's funny.
Mid-60s.
His name on the record is Ian, and then in parentheses, Lemmy
Yeah.
Willis.
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 Lemmy Willis.
What you talking about, Willis?
What you talking about, Willis? Oh, and there are bonus tracks. I just noticed. I've had this record for like a decade, and there are bonus tracks.
See, you
I
learned
never got to
something
them.
new. It was worth getting. You learned something new.
Look at that, man. Yeah, you learned
But I
something.
think
1969.
69.
More than the
Cool.
item itself, I think it's the memory that's locked within that.
Cool. I
item
was
that,
one.
You know, like when you
years
pulled
old.
that out
I
right
was
now,
just
you have
being
that
born.
memory of how you got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's 1969. I was one. So
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So there you go.
I-
There's the first disgusting band from Lemmy. They were awful.
I have a question, Paul. So you've been doing radio for how long? You said 36 years?
Yeah,
Well,
1985.
So, and
Wow.
I mean, when you got first involved, what's probably the most important thing you've learned in all those years of radio?
That
Rule number 3.
no, you need to. It's a small business, and all you need to do is look at the story of Kevin Dubrow to realize that you meet the same people on the way down as you did on the way up, and your word and your integrity mean everything. Everybody, like I said, it's a small business, and every 5 years or so, 20% of the people that do it disappear, and you will encounter a lot of the same people over the years. Like I said, since 1985, 86. I've run into Motorhead half a dozen times. I've, run into the guys in Metallica. So you can't burn bridges. When you do a show like this, and there's been a couple of times where I will say something that's my honest opinion, that somebody goes, well, why would you say that? And I won't say anything publicly that I wouldn't say if the person were standing right here, because if you shit on those people, they can ruin your world. I mean, it really is honor and integrity matter. And in the radio industry and the music industry, there's very little of both of those things. So when you encounter people that have both of them, you make note of it. So I think that's the thing, is just be honest, be true to who you are, be true to the music, be true to the artist, try to be considerate of their lives and their privacy and the things that you see on the road or you see backstage or you see. That's none of your business. So you don't talk about it.
Yeah. No, it's refreshing too, because I know sometimes you can't be 100% honest because, you just can't. You have to bite your tongue sometimes and roll with it. And it's hard. But like you said, I mean, you've been doing it for so long. You've obviously been doing the right thing. So,
well, I appreciate that. No, you got to realize that if you're going to shit on somebody or you're going to badmouth somebody, the target has to be deserving. They have to be genuinely an asshole. I've heard people, and don't spit on Lemmy. Keith H in the chat points out, don't spit on Lemmy. Well, here's a great moment where I almost went bad with Lemmy. We're in the middle. The interview might be up on my website, which is NeanderPaul.com. We were having this interview in Kansas City, and he had said something a couple of times about Janet Jackson, and I pointed it out to him in the interview, just jokingly, like off the cuff. And I went, "Wow, man, you really got a thing for Janet Jackson." And he turned for a second. He goes, "You got a fucking problem with Janet Jackson?" And I was like, "Well, no, but it was like just that little thing. You never know with what you're going to say that you think is a light joke might hit a nerve. You might say it at the wrong time. You might catch him at a bad time. People talk about what an asshole Dave Mustaine is. People talk about what an asshole Lars Ulrich is. People talk about an asshole Gene Simmons is. I've never had those experiences because you walk into it with respect and with a mutual understanding of why you're there. Why you're there. You're not friends. Now, I have some friends that are musicians, but you're not friends. You're there to do a mutual job. You're taking up their time, and their time is valuable. You should be respectful of it.
That's absolutely correct.
I think something you said on Johnny's show like a couple months ago ties in exactly with what you're saying now, Paul, that you mentioned, running into, a couple big time, music celebrities, definite A-listers, and how they're working when they're doing this stuff. And you were mentioning the fact that they came back, and like Sammy Hagar and a couple people, you said, like, they'll come back and do an interview anytime because you respected their time versus, you know, the fact that you pointed out that, and I'm sure this happens a lot, you get some radio guys or men or women that are like, oh, I get to be a fan now. No, they're working and you're working. So the fact that you're, you know, professional about it with them, that goes a long way, I think, you know.
Well, that, and I think they can, a lot of those people can smell a fake. And Lemmy was a guy like that, that if he knew if you didn't know his band or if you were full of shit, he would call you on it. And didn't suffer fools because, again, for those people that knew him, and I would look, I'm not going to ever pretend I was a friend of Lemmy's, but I do have some friends who are friends of Lemmy's, and they all tell the same story that I'll tell, and that is, if he liked you, he would tolerate you. If he didn't like you, it could be a very, very uncomfortable situation. And he knew, like so many others, that if you were a fan of his band, if you knew his band, and if you were a fan of rock and roll, he would engage you more. It's you know, your job when you're interviewing them is you're also being interviewed. They're also trying to ascertain to you, am I wasting my time with this person? Are they just using me for their own advantage? Do they really give a shit about what we're doing here? Because a lot of people don't see down the road. A lot of people don't look and say, hey, I'm going to be doing, this is my career. This is what I'm going to do for a couple of decades. I'm meeting Lemmy in 1986. I hope I made a good enough impression on him that 5 years later or 6 years later, if we meet each other, they'll go, hey, I know you. Because if they remember you, that's the greatest compliment you can get.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not that they like you, but that they remember you. And if they remember you and they smile, then you know it's going to be a good interview.
You're like, hey, you're the guy that didn't eat the donut.
Yeah,
yeah, that's me.
I made up for it.
Yeah. No, it's
guys and girls in the chat, make a little room. We got one more heading out there, Sandra.
Ready or not, here I come.
We will see you in a little while, sweetie.
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, Sandra's bailing out. Bye, Sandra.
I'll just be in the chat. I mean, I'll be backstage, but
I'll go harass the people in the chat.
You boys can raise hell.
Brilliant.
So yeah, Paul, something you said too. You know, it's, and Pete, you've heard it said before. People say, you know, don't meet your heroes, but I don't know. It really does depend on. People could be having a bad day because I've said it before, and I mean I've done a little bit of acting here and there, nothing crazy, but I was in A Dark Knight Rises. I was a thug. I was a bad guy, and I got to meet Christian Bale. You know, and everybody's got such a bad vibe about him because of that that audio of him yelling at that one extra, you know, this and that, and he was the nicest guy. You know, he was just the nicest guy. And you catch anybody on a bad day, you're gonna have a bad time. So it's. But I like what you said though. You got to go in there with respect and just, you know, knowing what you're doing. You're doing a job, and you respect what they do, and that's the way you got to go about it. It's great advice.
I won't say that who it was, but I was in the middle of an interview with somebody who's from a fairly big band, and again, I'm not a name dropping person,
right?
But it was, this guy was the bass player in a major band, and during the middle of the interview, he was recalling some sort of a story, and what he said was, he goes, you know, I was out there and I was dealing with this thing, and he was like a thumb, you know, like you and me. Bam, you're a peer. When you get into a situation where you can get them to knock down, this is what Howard Stern does so well, and what Barbara Walters used to do, and maybe Oprah does as well. When you can get them to drop that wall, and now you're talking like buddies, now you're talking like friends, they'll be more honest. You'll get a better idea of who they are. And when somebody, like I said, when they look at you and they smile, or they say something like, you know, like when we were hanging out, you know, like not you and me hanging out, but like talking about, you know, like when we were kids, he's associating himself, or she's associating herself with you and identifying with you as a peer. And that's when you get them off the pedestal and you get them down here. And when you start to have this kind of a communication, I think that's when you get the most viable and valid information and experience from them. And hopefully you can translate that to the audience who's watching or listening at the time. Yeah,
and it's a definite skill because it doesn't come easy, you know, you got to work at it. But once you do get it, I think once you do get it from certain people, it's easier for you to do it, you know. So you know,
and you got to know when they're in a bad mood.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got to know, and you got to just go, all right, all those questions and all those jokes that I had planned, he's not having it. She's not having it. Let's just do the work, try and make it as comfortable, make it as less irritating as possible for them, and then just go and chalk it up to the experience.
Yeah, because how many of those, I mean, the interviews and stuff and like going through all the media, they got to get tired of it. Same questions come up, same questions. I'm like, not again. And so it's tough, really.
I will name drop this time.
Go ahead.
Jimmy Page, 2003, doing the DVD. Yeah, you got it? Good. Yeah, because it's a heavy one. It's a big one.
I'm not in shape anymore either.
But but this is a great example. I was an idiot. There was two things that I did. One, I decided to be a smartass and said to him, "Hey, Jimmy, we all know there's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold.
Oh, no.
With what word can she get what she came for?"
Oh.
And he loved it. He was like,
"Oh, really?"
He goes, "I don't know. You'd have to ask Will."
That's so cool.
I don't mess with his words, and he doesn't mess with me guitars. And it was cool. He laughed at it. But that was one of the only sort of off-colored things that happened during the interview, because Jimmy is notoriously business. He's not very personable. He's not a verbose guy. And I'm verbose enough for everybody. So I do that joke, and he's cool with it. So I figure, okay, I got him.
Oh no!
So I start talking to him about the questions that you have to ask during an interview with a guy like that.
Sure.
Interview's over, but we still have the satellite hookup, and I can hear him talking to his handlers. And I hear him after the end of the interview. I'm like, "Hey, Jimmy, thanks for taking time out, blah blah blah," because it's a satellite thing. We're going like a link up, and then Jimmy, "Oh, right, great, it's my pleasure, great." So we hang up, and he goes, "Oh Christ, the same bloody questions every fucking time." And I'm like,
Really?
And I hear the handler go, "Jimmy, they don't get a chance to talk to you, and you're talking to a different city every time. So yes, they're going to ask the same questions." He goes, "I know, but it's so bloody fucking redundant." And I'm like, oh. I was like, I felt like such a piece of shit. I got the laugh in, but at the end of it, you realize these guys do this 100 times a day. You're not going to ask them a question that they haven't heard before.
No.
You're just not. You're not that cool. Better guys, better interviewers than me or Howard Stern or whatever have asked every question they can possibly ask. If you can get them to smile, good for you, but you're not going to get any new nugget of knowledge out of it.
Well, what was that one? There was a Brian May interview. He's like, I'm really tired. I don't. Is that all you got? Because I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I can't remember which one it was, but it was freaking hilarious. He's just standing there exhausted. He's like, I know you got a lot of questions, but I'm really tired. He's like, all right, man.
There are some photographs on my Facebook page. If I can find them, I'll find one. And it's a picture of me and Phil Campbell and Mickey D sitting at a table in Kansas City waiting for Lemmy because he was like a half hour late. And the other two are like, "No, till Lemmy says, we're not doing the interview." So we're just sitting there drinking. And I'll try to find it. And it's like, they're going to come in, they're going to give you their 15 minutes or half hour if you're lucky, and it's over. So I'll find the picture while you guys are setting it up, but it's pretty funny. We're all just sitting there.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Paul.
Yep.
And I'm compelled to ask you this. A couple of years ago, you did the Roth interview where he kind of spilled the beans a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't expect that.
How'd that go?
Well, we just were talking to him about, we quickly asked him about Van Halen, and he started to get a little too honest. And before we do any interview, before I ever do an interview with anybody, before we start rolling tape, before we go on the air, I always ask them, is there anything you don't want to talk about? I give them that option. Is there anything you don't want to talk about? Because I would rather not be in the middle of an interview with somebody and bring something up and have them go, "Well, I don't want to talk about that." Because now you've made it awkward. So I try to ask it ahead of time so that it gives them an opportunity to say, "Hey, this is live or this is on tape, and whatever you say, we're going to run with. I'm not going to edit it." And Dave started to be a little too honest about it, and you could hear we shut him down because we recognized he was going in a direction, and we're like, well, okay, well, we just had to ask that question, and just sort of we try to stop it because at the time Edward was still with us. He was obviously very ill, and Dave was doing damage to business for himself, and talking about some stuff that fans probably. It was a situation where I think he got a little too comfortable. And so you, out of respect for the game, you kind of try and go, all right, that's cool, and you get away from it. Yeah, and that's what we did. We tried to get away from it and change the subject. But yeah, it was a little awkward. Now, the thing is, all of the prep services for the industry heard about it, grabbed audio, found the audio, because there are loggers that log radio stations around the country. They grabbed the audio from the broadcast and they ran with it, and it became a snowball thing. And obviously, for a couple of days, it was a big story. It was a national story.
Wow.
Is that the interview where he claimed he was the current Van Halen, like you're looking at it kind of thing?
Yep. It wasn't quite as bloviating as it came off as. I mean, he was like, "Look, the quote was something like, it's not my place to say, but I don't think Eddie's in any condition to answer the bell this time." So, I mean, clearly Eddie has had some problems in the past, and he was alluding to the fact that Eddie has played sick or played while receiving treatment and all those things, because Eddie's not going to come back this time. So I am the face of Van Halen moving forward. And it wasn't him beating his chest like I'm a badass. It was like, look, if you want Van Halen, this looks like it's going to be it. In other words, he was basically saying the band was done, but it came across like he was being self-aggrandizing. And I just think because of Dave's history of being who he is, he does his thing. But Dave wasn't in Motorhead.
Right.
Yeah.
He couldn't have been.
No. Although, this is one of the things. Let's talk about that for a second. People talk about how Lemmy is a horrible singer. I would beg to differ.
Him. Love his voice. Love him.
Name another band. I can name two, but name another band that sounds like Motorhead.
There aren't any.
I can't think of any.
They're totally unique, and his voice is totally unique. And his bass
lyrics, lyrics with any other voice, I don't think so.
And when he does,
his lyrics are unique to him,
right? And even when he was doing the Headcat, his rockabilly thing with Jim Phantom and Danny, I forget Danny's last name, and I apologize. But he has a rockabilly band on the side. Even when he did that, it sounded singular. Now there are two other bands that sound kind of like Motorhead. This is you'll Google these later on. Band out of Northern Ireland called Rogue Male.
Okay.
Who had a song called All Over You in 1985. And when you listen to it, you'll be like, oh my God, they're totally ripping off Motorhead. You'll also see the video for them doing a song called Crazy Motorcycle, which sounds exactly like a Motorhead song. Sounds like Ace of Spades. And then there's another band, Shagrath from, I'm going to probably mispronounce the band. It's a heavy band called Dimmu Borgir or Dimmu Borgir. Shagrath is in a signed band called Chrome Division. And Chrome Division has 4 records out, and they sound like Motorhead. The thing with Lemmy's voice is it's singular. You can't do it. You can't sing like that for more than one set. Otherwise, your voice will sound like that forever.
Were they influenced by him or by them, or were they came after?
They came after. Yeah. No, they came long after. No, okay. I mean therein lies the thing. But I've always been a fan of, if you're a band that is singular, that cannot be replicated, you can't sound like that band, then that in and of itself makes you unique. Lemmy is singular. Nobody sounds like Motorhead, despite the other two bands. The reason why you don't know those two bands is because they failed at it. One of them did it in 1985, and the other one did it over the past 15 years. The fact that they're not household names proves that Motorhead is singular. Like Queen, like the Police, there are certain bands that you can't replicate. There's a unique chemistry and a unique style and a unique sound, sonic sound that comes from it. Motorhead has that. Motorhead is unique. They're singular. Even when Metallica did their set as the Lemmys for his birthday party, they didn't sound like Motorhead. Even though they played all the songs exactly the same with a Rickenbacker bass, they didn't sound like Motorhead. Phil Taylor, Mickey D, they had a unique swing in their drumming. Phil Campbell, not exactly lauded as a fantastic guitar player, but he's got a unique swing and a unique groove that fits in between Lemmy's bass lines. And Lemmy is a very good bass player who you would never know because it's so distorted. And all of that chemistry is unique. Nobody sounds like Motorhead.
No.
Yeah, he almost plays a bass like a guitar. He plays it with a pick, and he strums the chords super fast and turns the distortion way up.
Absolutely.
Yep. Nobody sounds like that. He doesn't get enough credit for his bass playing, his lyrics, and his overall iconic status and how he influenced so many people.
That's our last photograph together.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
Nice, Paul.
Yeah, it's coming up sort of weird because of the camera.
That's okay.
Oh, that's fine, man.
That's our last photograph together.
When was that taken, Paul?
Kansas City in, I don't know, I want to say 2007 or 2008, somewhere around there. I've seen them a couple of times since then. I never really took pictures with musicians because we weren't. I'm not. You don't fanboy out with them.
Yeah, you're not.
I've never had them sign anything. Right. I've got all this cool Motorhead shit. I don't have a pick. I don't have an autograph.
There you go.
So that's respect, and that's respect because you know I feel the same. I don't want to, you know, you don't want to go out there and say, hey man, hey, can I get a picture? Hey man, can you sign this for me? I don't like doing that. You know,
I'd rather just have an experience. You know,
absolutely, because then it's yours. You know, I mean, it's yours anyway, but it's yours alone.
Now, if it was Tony's with Eddie Van Halen and Valerie Bertinelli standing there, and what Tony did, then I would have gone for that.
You know, Tony saying, "Hey, can I have that bandana?" Well, you know, come on, you know, right?
I mean, just
he's like this one.
That's awesome, Tony. I just love that you did that, man.
That's the best story ever.
Here's the thing: if you're not going to encounter them again, and you've got one shot, take your shot.
Oh yeah,
take your shot.
I was 18 years old too, so yeah.
There's nothing that can stop you when you're 18, man. Like
we were the youngest people in the room too.
That's awesome.
A little out of place, but yeah.
That probably helped too, because if like a 45-year-old man asked for his bandana, it might look creepy. but 18-year-old, it's like cute. She probably thought, oh, it's really cute, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That is cool.
Lenny Lou said, right time, right age. Tony.
Yep.
Right age, exactly. Now I may be like, I'm kind of a fan. You know.
Are you a fan?
And Tony, if Valerie wasn't there, he might not have given it to you. So thank God she was there.
Yeah, probably not.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Ed looked like this.
Yeah, he'd be like, get this guy out of here. Who let him in here?
Kid, please.
Exactly.
What's this kid's name? Fruitcake? How'd he get that name? Get him out of here. You know?
Well,
they usually won't do that. They'll look at one of their handlers and give them sort of a nod or a code word.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know? And that means so that they don't look like an asshole.
Right.
My kids and I always had code words if we went to like one of their friends' house and the parents were being like real not fun people. And then I would, use the code phrase, they'd be like, oh, I have a stomach ache, Dad. Oh,
pineapple.
I think we need to go.
It's a safe word.
Yeah. Or if they were uncomfortable too,
You say something, Tony? We're gonna let's do something. What do you got?
Yeah, I want to show.
That's cool, Brian.
The kids in the chat what we're giving away a little later here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
After you show that, what have you gotten anything else this week?
Yeah, I got a couple of new things. This is what we're playing for later on, kids.
Oh,
this
is
awesome.
Nice.
2005, I think. Lemmy from Inferno tour. Yeah.
Nice.
Inferno is one of my favorite tunes.
Yeah.
I love that song.
A couple of new things in the collection. A damn Yankees Tommy Shaw.
Nice.
Cool.
Blackie Lawless.
Yep.
Unholy Terror.
One of those. How about Ice-T?
Ooh, Body Count.
Nice.
Little F the Police.
Yeah.
And now he's doing
Cinderella.
What's he doing?
There you
now
go, John.
The in-house
he's
drive.
doing car shield ads. Iced tea.
Yeah.
And here's one score of the week right there. Springsteen,
Nice. Oh, wow.
Super Bowl pick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a nice one.
Yeah. So that's new stuff for the week. That's what we're playing for.
Cool.
Right there.
It was funny when I told my wife, she was asking who you guys doing this weekend. I said Motorhead. She goes, "Oh, isn't that what they say in the Sister Christian song?" I'm like, no. I said I'm going to tell the story. She goes, "Yeah, they say Motorhead." I said, "No, it's not Motorhead. It's motoring." So she's like, "Oh." I'm like, "All right." She goes, "Don't tell that story." I said, "Okay, I won't."
Nice.
Hi, Miss Butt Cheeks.
Yeah.
How you doing? Watching on replay.
Miss Mama Butt Cheeks is upstairs.
I don't have that picture of the three of us on this iPad, but I'll find it on my hard drive. But that's the look of us sitting waiting for Lemmy with beers in front of us.
Oh man,
you're like,
if there's an empty seat there, we're just like, come on, when is this going to happen?
That's funny.
I'll find the picture and I'll text it over to Tony in the stream, so if he wants to put it up.
Sweet.
I dig your leather jacket, Paul. Man, that's a nice jacket.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's the old Perfecto. Everyone has one.
I like his no remorse on leather covered vinyl.
Yeah, here's the thing.
That's kick. Yeah, show that.
All right, so I'll go through the Motorhead collection. I found out by accident that I have more Motorhead music on CD than any other band, and I'm not. And I wouldn't call it, like, Motorhead wouldn't be in my top 5 bands of all time. Yet quietly, I own almost more Motorhead swag and more Motorhead music. Everything here.
Wow.
Motorhead music.
Wow, that's a lot.
All of that.
They must be your favorite band, Paul.
No, they're not. And yet,
it has to be.
You would think. So we've got the old Lemmy. Because all my friends,
Nice.
all my friends hand me Motorhead stuff.
Yeah.
So my friends, they know.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. So I got that, and this is what you were talking about. The original No Remorse.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That is.
They put that out in 1984 or 85, 84.
Wow.
This was when Ryan Robertson was still in the band. Robbo from Thin Lizzy.
Yep.
In a period of time where Lemmy looks back on this as a dark time for the band, because Ryan Robertson didn't really fit Motorhead at the time. He was a little bit incompatible. I mean, you would think the guitar player from Thin Lizzy would fit right in, because it's a similar sort of, meat and potatoes, punch you in the face rock.
Yeah.
But Robbo was only there for this collection, which had a couple of new songs on it. Which were, I want to say,
like Shine, and I Got Mine.
Shine is a great song.
No, that was on another.
That's from Another Perfect Day. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Killed by Death. Killed by Death was on this that they put out as sort of an introduction to Robbo. And Another Perfect Day is a record that, in hindsight, has aged better than you would have thought. But at the time, Lemmy hated the record. But they still do, or they still did, I Got Mine up until the end, which I was surprised, because it's such a fantastic song.
It is.
But this is a cool thing. And long before bands were doing stuff like that. And then we'll do this, because you've probably never seen one of these.
That's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, that is so nice.
This is from a company called Rock Hard Helmets. And they did these for a couple of bands. And as soon as I saw the Motorhead one, I was like, well, I got to have me one of those.
Yeah, and you can't wear it.
No, I don't wear it. You can see it's
I know. No.
It's never been worn.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's never been worn. It's just something I keep as a keepsake. And I always hoped that I would be able to get Lemmy to sign it. I mean, even on the top, it's got the rivets on the top of the helmet.
Yeah.
Hold that up again. on the side and smile.
Oh, we're doing a.
We are.
Doing a thumbnail.
Thumbnail, baby.
Yes.
Nice.
There you go.
There you
Nice.
go.
Love it.
That is
It's
a very cool thing.
That
we've
is.
got the usual. He's
Yeah,
my
the
sister-in-law. My sister-in-law turned me into the
Funko Pop guy.
I don't do Funko at all, but I have 2 Funkos, and these are them.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't normally, but I have a Rush because that's my band, and I have a Rush pop.
I've got the guns ones.
Yeah, Snaggletooth B Motorhead was actually his real name. They call him War Pig. It's not really War Pig. It's Snaggletooth B Motorhead.
Snaggletooth, yeah.
Yeah, Joe. The artist name is Joe Pentaglio. And for a long time, Joe and the guys in Motorhead had a financial disagreement. And you'll notice in a couple of those 90s and early 2000s, there is no Snaggletooth on the Motorhead records. He went away for a while. And this is, to me, this is the greatest mascot logo in the history of music. There are those that would say I would put this right up there with the Rolling Stones' tongue and with Eddie from Iron Maiden.
Yeah, Eddie. I was going to say Eddie.
But you know it the minute you see it. When you see this, you know what it is.
Yep.
The Rolling Stones' tongue and Eddie from Iron Maiden. Those are the 3 most memorable. And I would say probably the Apple from Apple Records from the Beatles is also up there. But that's everybody knows what that is, even if you don't know who the band is.
Yeah.
And then, one last thing. This, I don't know who made these, but I'm glad somebody sent it to me.
Oh, wow.
That's sweet.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, man. That's nice.
So people know that he was my my first interview, and I've always been my friends are very generous about it. The one thing I don't have, and I don't want, to be honest with you, because it would be very sad for me, I didn't get a bullet.
You did a bullet, yeah.
And people don't know what this is. When Lemmy passed, he had his ashes. He was cremated, and he had his ashes parsed out into bullets.
Yeah, he pressed into the bullet.
And pressed into this bullet, like a 30-06, I think it was, or a 30-30. But
yeah, I forget how many there were. He gave them out to like his closest friends, right?
They were given to his closest friends. I have a friend who I have 2 friends who I think have them.
Oh,
I haven't asked them because I think it's a little bit of an awkward thing to say. Hey, did you get a Lemmy bullet?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But one of my friends, Lemmy was at his wedding, so I have to assume they were close enough.
Yeah.
That he probably has one. And then I have another friend who worked a lot of Motorhead records, who used to hang out in his apartment in West Hollywood. So I think they were close enough too.
That's cool.
But who knows?
That's definitely a cool thing.
Yeah, nice.
But it is. It's one of those unsaid things you don't ask. You know?
Yeah, and I don't know that I would. First of all, I was never close enough to him to have that experience. But secondly, it would be very sad. I will tell you, there are only 2 musicians that have passed that I cried, and Lemmy was one of them, because it was my first interview, because it was so sort of essential and integral to what I do for a living. I was very sad the day Lemmy died. I was like, music is not as fun without Lemmy. And the other was Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah. Because I remember working in a warehouse. It was early on with my band and our band, because I don't like to say mine. I don't possess it. But our band, we worked together. It was a guitar player and drummer. We all worked in a warehouse unloading trucks, because that's what you did during the day while you played at night.
Sure.
And the guitar player came up, and he had tears in his eyes. And he goes, I just heard on the radio that Stevie Ray Vaughan went down in a helicopter crash. And we all stopped and just had a moment. It was just a weird moment. It's not like those guys are John Lennon, or those guys are to a younger generation Kurt Cobain. I also got the call on December 9th at about 2:30 in the morning. Obviously, the night before was a show at the Alrosa Villa in Columbus, Ohio. And the call came from, because I worked in Columbus. I did mornings in Columbus for the sister station that was presenting that Damage Plan show that night. And I got a phone call, and she said, they're all dead. I said, what are you talking about? I said, everybody, they're all dead. I said, again, what are you talking about? I was at the Alrosa, and there was a shooting, and blah, 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 blah. And at the time, Mayhem, we didn't know if Mayhem was Vinny or not. So we had heard that it was Dime and Vinny and a couple of other people. And it was again 2:15 in the morning or so. And that was a moment where I didn't cry, but I certainly was kind of like, holy shit. Like a little bit of innocence was taken from us.
Yeah.
So I'm bummed about. I'm really bummed that Lemmy is gone. You know, I only have 1 or 2 pictures with him, and I love his band very much. Again, the trick is, as we were talking before about when you're in an interview and it suddenly lowers down to this level. I didn't realize I have like 50 Motorhead CDs.
Yeah.
You just buy them. New Motorhead, boom. You don't even care what's on it. You know what's on it. You know what you're getting.
Right.
So
absolutely, yeah.
Brian asked which station in Columbus. It was called Eagle 103.9. It was a classic rock station. It was a sister station to 99.7 The Blitz. Howard Stern was the morning guy on The Blitz. I was the morning guy on the Eagle. Guess who got more ratings than the other guy?
I don't know.
It was cool. It was cool to be there, but it was not cool to get that phone call. That sucked.
No.
But I mean, I don't know how much more you can say about Motorhead. They're a band that is singular, influential, seminal when it comes to they invented an art form. And Lemmy, you know, if you saw the movie, CK referenced the movie, and it's a fantastic movie. You should buy it. The Lemmy movie, buy the extended version with the extra disc, because there's 5 hours of bonus footage on it. That's fucking outstanding.
That's
It's
so cool.
so good.
You know what else is great, Paul? Is this book. I've read this a couple times.
Yep.
This is outstanding. This book.
I have it too. Yeah, it's outstanding.
Outstanding.
Yeah, he's honest about all of it. They are such an important. The thing about Motorhead is, it's a club. If you see somebody wearing a Motorhead patch, they didn't just get that at Hot Topic. Like Motorhead's not like Misfits t-shirts, or Metallica t-shirts. Like you're not going to see a Kardashian wearing the Motorhead logo because she doesn't get it. She didn't get it. Motorhead is like the Ramones and like a couple other things. It's a club, and when you see it, you just kind of acknowledge it and go, "I get it." And especially the tattoos. I have the logo tattooed on my leg.
Nice.
So, I mean, I'm in for life.
Yeah, man.
My feet are dirty.
Nice.
But it's a phenomenal band. And I'm taking up too much of your time, but I will tell you.
No, Paul.
I can't extol the virtues of the band enough. You should buy all of it. I have all of it. It's funny, I had a listener who sent me a cool thing. I have my pin from the movie, which is, there's your Lemmy movie.
Yep.
Nice.
But then this listener who knew I was a fan, it sent me a little clip from a newspaper and these pins, these old pins.
Oh, cool.
And it says Motorhead, and this is for No Sleep at All. That's a record that came out in the 80s. It was one of their live albums when they were jumping from label to label to label. But I love the thing. Motorhead, probably the best live rock band in the world. Probably.
We're
not going to commit to it.
That's
Motorhead. Probably.
That's great.
Maybe.
And I've always thought that to be.
That's just classic Motorhead.
That's the thing. They never they get no respect. They never get the respect that they deserve. Right. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame had a chance, and they fucked it up because that's what they do.
Yes.
And by the way, shame on all the musicians that are in there that didn't advocate, because they can advocate for an artist being inducted. And the idea that the guys from Deep Purple and Metallica and Ozzy and Black Sabbath and all of those and Kiss didn't advocate to get Motorhead in there is disturbing and disappointing.
Well, Paul, one would hope that now Dave Grohl's in for the second time. One would hope that he would speak up for Lemmy, because they were really tight, and he's always carried the flag for Lemmy.
Yeah.
One would hope.
That's the thing. Like, There are very few people in rock when you. First of all, anybody that has one name: Elvis, Madonna, Rihanna, Sting, Lemmy,
Bono.
Lemmy. Most people don't even know his name is Ian. He's Lemmy. He's always been Lemmy, and people know who Lemmy is.
Slash.
And even people, even people in the hip hop world.
Right.
Ice-T knows who Lemmy is. He knew who Lemmy was beforehand because holy shit, Lemmy's a badass. Lemmy transcends Motorhead. He was a character. He was singular.
Well, he was on the freaking Simpsons,
Yes,
he's pop culture,
Yeah, when you're on the Simpsons, how is that does not make you a household
Everyone
name?
knows you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's
Now
disappointing.
there's a statue of him at the Rainbow.
Like my mom knows who Lemmy is,
Yeah.
Lemmy sure liked that poker machine at the end of the bar there at the Rainbow, Paul.
I got kicked out of that seat.
Really?
He wasn't there. He wasn't there. I didn't know. I was, I'm at the
Great.
Rainbow for the first time, and I'm sitting at the end of the bar, right in front of that. It's like video poker. It was like one of those ones like you press like a Keno machines and stuff like that.
What year was it, Paul? What year was that?
96, 97, somewhere around there. And I didn't know. What the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
And I go to the end of the bar and I sit down at the end of the bar, and the bartender goes, "Sweetie, I'm going to need you to get out of that chair." I said, "Oh, why?" "That's Lemmy's seat."
That's it.
I'm like, "Is he here?" She's like, "No."
He's always
But that's his seat. Sorry. And I got up and left. I got up out of the chair. Like I wasn't allowed to sit there. And it's so funny. She's got the mug and she's like wiping it off like an old Western saloon. "Sweetie, I'm going to need you to stand up." I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to sit there. And I bet she probably had to say that to tourists every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. When he got the news of what he had, they moved that poker machine in his apartment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Paul, he went out with his boots on. He went out on tour. He played, all those gigs sick.
I saw them a couple of months before he passed. I think I saw him in September or October. They played one of the casinos here in town, and it was sad. He came out with the cane. I don't know if people know this, but near the end, he was very, very feeble. He was backstage and laying in like a bunk. They had set up a bunk in like the green room, not really the dressing room, because they had their own like suite at the hotel in the casino. But they had set up like a bunk with like a bedroll, and he was basically just laying there. And his cane was leaning up against the wall, and he came out with the cane and he leaned it up against the side of the stage when he put his bass on, and he was sort of shuffling out, kind of the way Ozzy does now. He was sort of shuffling out to the microphone, and he sounded weak. He sounded a little weaker. And they turned the guitars up a little louder so that you couldn't hear that he was weak. And Phil Campbell, they did an extended jam with Phil Campbell so that Lemmy didn't have to sing another song. But it was very, it was sad to watch, but I'm glad, because what else do you want to do? What else is he going to do? It's Lemmy, and the same thing's going to happen to Ozzy. Ozzy's not going out. I mean, we've probably seen Ozzy for the last time on stage.
Yeah, I agree.
He's very sick. He's very weak. He's very old. He doesn't owe us anything, and I would be surprised if we see him again on stage, and that's a sad thing.
I just hope Sharon lets him rest.
Paul, you don't think he'll do those dates next year that have been moved twice so far?
No,
I mean, I don't either, but knowing Sharon,
No, he's got Parkinson's, and Parkinson's.
Have you seen the recent
progressively
pictures?
worse.
Right, yeah.
He looks awful.
Terrible now. The most recent photo, terrible.
You saw what happened to Pat Torpey from Mr. Big. I mean, Parkinson's progresses pretty quickly. When the older you get, I mean, Pat Torpey was in great shape. Pat Torpey was a drummer. He had great cardiovascular. He had great muscle tone. He was in fantastic shape. I mean, the most athletic thing you can do in music is be a drummer.
Drums, yeah.
You know what I mean? So Pat Torpey was in great shape. Look what happened to him. Look what's happening to Glenn Tipton.
Yeah.
He lost his dexterity, and therefore he can only come out and play for a song or two. Ozzy sings, and lung capacity. I mean, his back is fucked up. I just think it's. I would rather he not force himself to play those days.
You don't want to remember him that way.
You know? I don't want to, and I'm glad Lemmy was able. I'm glad I was able to see that show. But I knew, knowing 30 years of seeing Motorhead, I knew we were pretty much near the end. He was tired. He was clearly sick. They hadn't announced that he had cancer yet. You know, the diabetes was a thing, but that wasn't something that was going to debilitate him. I mean, the cancer debilitated him.
You see, like Phil Collins too in Genesis. He's out in a chair singing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see that. You know, I want to see him behind the drums singing, playing.
Right.
I don't want to see him sitting in a chair.
Yeah, especially at $500 a pop for the floor.
I know, but it's just, I don't know.
No, they're legends, and I'm glad he was able to do what he did until the end. It's my understanding that he wanted to come out like 2 nights before he passed. He was all set to go out and party.
Wow.
Look, he didn't have a lot in that. Well, he had a lot in that apartment, but he didn't have a lot to leave behind. He left it all on stage every night and on record. And I own every Motorhead record because as repetitive as they might have been, they're all still great. It's like the Ramones and it's like AC/DC. You know what you're going to get, and I'm going to buy it every time. And now they just released Live in Berlin. It's a CD DVD combo that they just put out. They're now starting to release live tour shows from the archives to keep the legacy alive. God love him. God love his kid for Paul for keeping that alive and cashing in on it. Anything that can keep those guys out there to try and get if ever there were a band that deserved to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's Motorhead. Without Motorhead, there is no Metallica, there is no Slayer, there is no Rage Against the Machine or Korn or Slipknot or Testament or Anthrax. Motorhead, Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin. That's your big four of hard rock and heavy metal. Mm-hmm. And Motorhead never gets acknowledged with the other three, and they should.
They should.
Yeah, agree.
Absolutely should.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul, if they have 22 studio records and you have over 55 CDs, is it a lot of it like import singles and stuff like that?
I've got, let's see. Well, you got the first album. I don't know if you saw this, but the first one has also been released on leather.
Nice.
Oh, that's
so
nice.
I bought that. It's a cool.
That's cool.
And then a box set. I'm going to go through the catalog. A box set that was put out of a bunch of stuff. You know, it's the first. It's Motorhead, Overkill, Bomber, Ace of Spades, No Sleep Till Hammersmith, and something called Meltdown, which is a collection of rare live stuff that came only with this box set. So that doesn't count as an album, but yet it's still another CD. I don't want to break my box here because it's old. I mean, it's beat up as well. It should be. So yeah, I mean, these are the old. This was, I think, Road Racer. The Road Racer releases.
I like the purple font.
Yep. Oh, look at this. What the hell is this? Oh, it's a booklet for Ace of Spades. I haven't looked in this box set in a while. Because I have it all on digital now. I just put it all on digital. So you got that. That's like the first 5 records. And then
that's really cool.
Yeah. And then you got the, On Parole, which we talked about,
right,
which was the album that wasn't released until later.
Yep.
And then of course another copy of Ace of Spades because it's got more tracks on it. And then No Sleep Till Hammersmith. I'll only dig out some of the rare stuff. The Iron Fist 2 CD, 2 expanded edition that probably 19 different re-releases of it. Deluxe of here's some stuff that you don't see. This is called The Collection. I don't know what it is. I don't know who put it out, but I bought it. I mean, I know what it is. It's just kind of like a greatest hits thing, but
Sure.
it's like a European release that I had to grab. Some stuff that you don't see very often. The Birthday Party. You know, that's a live
Oh,
one
wow.
that you won't find anywhere.
95 or 85?
That's cool.
I don't remember what year. I'm going to guess 95. It sounds
What's it, like a
cool.
compilation?
It's a live show.
Yeah.
It's a live show of his birthday party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where everybody did tributes to him, right?
Yeah, but this was the band set. And then you've got Brixton, 87.
Nice.
And these are all things that you don't find out there. I don't know what the hell this is. Take No Prisoners. This is another release, a European release. That has, and again, it's all the same music. It's all the same, but there's like 30 songs on here.
Yeah.
It's only 2 CDs. What's another rarity? I have the here's an interesting one. This is a different mix of a lot of the Ace of Spades stuff. This is all different mixes and B-sides that a label called Deadline put out, and I'm not sure they got the okay to do it. That's one of the things that Lemmy always lamented, was that there were more Motorhead records that were out there that he was never even consulted on.
Right. So he doesn't get paid on them.
He didn't get paid on them. So
Right.
a lot of that stuff. Let's see. There you go. There's another one you won't find. BBC Live and In Session.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that cover before. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a tape
Nice.
from all the BBC stuff. So, you know, the usual stuff, all the stuff that you would expect, all the studio albums. But then I have, you know, these European releases and all these imports. And of course, if you look down on the bottom shelf is the box set. I actually have, my box set has the 7th CD in it.
The Stone Deaf Forever box set?
Yeah. Yeah, it has.
Yeah, show that. That's a really cool box set.
I just unplugged my monitor, by the way. I'm going to put my headphones on again. Yeah, this is, for those that don't have it.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, that's tough to find now.
Badass.
But it's only supposed to be, I'm sorry, it's 6 CDs. It's only supposed to be 5, right? 5 CDs of archive material. But the first pressings have
a bonus.
Yeah. There's a poster in there and there's the booklet. But there's also, in the first pressings, there was a 6 CD.
Nice.
Like live stuff.
That's very cool.
And I don't know, I used to have 2 copies of that live one. I don't know where it went. There were 2 copies in this box set. And I don't know what it is. I don't know why they included it, and it's not listed anywhere as a bonus CD. It's not on the box. It's not anything. Just the first pressings of the album had this bonus CD. So I was like, all right, well, I guess. And I certainly bought it the day it came out.
Right. That's why you got those bonus.
I would think so. Yeah. And the funny thing about it is, because of what I do for a living, I usually get music for free, but I buy Motorhead music. Especially knowing that Lemmy was involved in this box set, I bought it because I wanted him to get paid.
There you go.
Right.
Now, Paul, in terms of all the extra stuff, if you're out shopping in used stores, do you always just look for Motorhead? And if it's something you don't have in your collection, you just buy it?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. If it's something I haven't seen before, I'll buy it.
And then one of your bands where you know, whenever you're in a used store, that's one of the bands you'll seek out?
No, but it just, you know, I literally go, when I walk into any music store, I go to the metal section first, start at A, and go, I'm that guy. I'm that guy that goes from A to Z. If I get to Motorhead and they have, I'll flip through it very quickly because I know what the album covers look like. And on occasion, I'll find something. And some of that stuff, like the Birthday Party and BBC Live on Air, that's really difficult to find in this country. It really is. A lot of that stuff was on small labels not a whole lot of distribution, didn't sell a lot, and those that have them don't trade them in.
Right, and that makes the value of those go up too.
Right. Well, I'm music.
Yeah, I know you're not, but like
music
on the market.
Music to me is priceless. I mean, it's the experience
Yeah.
that I love. But I know what you're saying. Like, if I were to sell some of the Motorhead collectible stuff, I could probably do all right, I guess. And the funny thing about it is, I don't know what I'm going to do with it when I die. Hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon, but because I don't have kids and I've got 2 nephews, but they're both developmentally disabled, so they wouldn't understand it. They wouldn't get it. So I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I'll do with it.
About how many CDs do you have, Paul?
Oh.
10,000?
No. Somewhere around 4,000.
But you have no vinyl. You gave all your vinyl away?
I have all the vinyl I have. You can see in a little slot. I have like 10 pieces of vinyl. I have. Here, we have time to do it. This is all the vinyl I own. Extreme before they were Extreme.
Nice, the Dream. Yeah,
that's Gary Sharon right there on the front.
Cool.
Signed by Gary and Nuno from when I was doing college radio.
Nice.
Nuno isn't even on the record.
Nice.
George Carlin's first album.
Awesome.
Just because of the historical value of it.
I love.
That was when he first started out.
Yeah.
The Guns original cover.
Yeah, that signed by Slash.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
So that's not going anywhere.
That's awesome. For sure.
And literally like a slip mat and an old AC/DC mirror that I won at a carnival with some backstage passes on it.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
You have your Iron Maiden from Seventh Son tour, Metallica from Death Magnetic when I actually introduced them in Kansas City, Kiss on the Crazy Nights tour. That one that says 7-4 on the bottom is a one-off show on July 4th in Swansea, New Hampshire with Kiss. It's autographed. And I don't even know what this crew pass is.
Where's the Iron Maiden one from?
Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, 1987 tour.
Nice. Was that in Boston or Providence?
Worcester.
Cool.
And then I've got a couple of Kiss working passes. That's a band that I've crossed.
That's great to have.
I've crossed over a couple of different times. Where in New England are you, CJ?
I'm just outside of Boston. Do you know where Norwood is?
Yes, one of my best friends.
I used to live in Milford. I've lived in Ashland. Doesn't Wayno live in like Framingham or somewhere?
Wayno lives in Ashland. We used to live off of Washacom Street in Framingham.
You know Oak Street in Ashland? I used to live there.
Yep, I do. I'm familiar with the area.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome that you come from Boston. I love that.
Yeah, that area. Where you live now again?
Norwood, outside of Boston.
One of my best friends is the Sansone family in Norwood.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard that name.
Yeah.
Joey
Sansone. No, it's. Yeah, I as soon as I heard your accent, I was like, yeah. It's like my cousin from Boston.
Isn't Lenny Lou from Boston too?
I don't know. You may want to.
And John Biel is.
John Biel's from Haverhill.
Wayno is.
Yep. So, meanwhile, Charles Green, thank you for the Colonel's popcorn.
Cool. You got it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And Brendan B. Squared is always fun. I just feel bad because you guys didn't get a word in.
Sure, we did.
Charles
is
the most generous man behind the scenes. Never asks for any praise. Never says, "Hey, I did this" himself. Just quietly does a lot of nice things for a lot of people.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate
Great
it.
guy.
He is awesome.
He's a
BC
giver.
Rich 581 brings up a good point. Eddie Clarke doesn't really get much credit either for what he was. I mean, obviously he's part of the classic lineup of Motorhead. But when he went off and did Fastway, that was a pretty good friggin' band too. But you could tell the difference in styles. Eddie wanted to go one way, Lemmy wanted to go the other, and I think everybody benefited in the long run.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to see Fastway, Paul?
Yeah.
I saw them open for Rush.
Yep. Saw him with Dio.
Nice.
But again, there's a band that Eddie Clarke didn't get a lot of credit for what he did. He wasn't in the band as long. They talk about the classic lineup of Motorhead being Lemmy and Filthy Taylor and Fast Eddie. But in fact, Wurzel and Phil Campbell and Mickey D were in the band a lot longer than those guys.
Yeah, I think they were there almost 20 years.
And they made a lot more music.
Right.
If you've never seen Motorhead with Mickey D, and congratulations to Mickey for being the drummer for Scorpions right now. Because boy, talk about a guy that just went from band to band to band between King Diamond and to Motorhead, then to Scorpions. His paychecks never stopped coming in.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's awesome.
Yeah,
He's so awesome.
He's a great drummer. He's a good guy. And everybody in Motorhead was good. I can't be a bigger fan of a band that I don't consider one of my favorite bands of all time. They're not one of my favorite bands, yet I have the logo on my leg. I own more music than them.
I was about to point that out, Paul. You got a tattoo of the band on you. They're probably your favorite band. You just won't admit it.
No,
Yeah,
that's
not
the thing.
top five.
I don't.
And they were the inspiration for you to do what you do today.
That's why I got the. That's why I got the tattoo.
It's like
So
Ralph
then
Johnson with his,
what is your
Van Halen
favorite
tattoo.
band then, Paul? What is your favorite band?
Currently,
Yes.
currently AC/DC.
Nice. That's a good
AC/DC and
one.
Extreme are currently my two favorite bands.
Oh,
No
I love
arguments
Extreme,
there.
too.
No.
Love both of those.
Van Halen was always up there,
Yep.
but it really depended on what day it was. I mean, to me, the holy trinity of rock for me, personally, is Zeppelin, Van Halen, Aerosmith, AC/DC on the outside looking in, but now
Gotcha.
AC/DC because of consistency. You know, when you say who your favorite band is,
Right.
sometimes you're lying.
It's very hard. I know.
Sometimes you're lying.
Yeah. You know, I would go Rush, AC/DC, Van Halen.
It's
for
very
my top
subjective.
three. You know, that's
That's
my
a
top
killer. That's a killer three, Brendan.
three. Yeah, that's my
I
top
cannot
three.
argue that point.
I didn't hear any bad bands, so they all sounded good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
I mean, you know, I can. If we go further back, yes, we'll talk about the Beatles. They're undeniable. The Stones are undeniable.
Oh, sure.
To me, the king of rock and roll is Chuck Berry. You know, I believe the king is Chuck Berry. But there's an argument for Little Richard. There's an argument for Bill Haley. There's an argument for Fats Domino. You know, and Elvis was the first pop star and all that stuff going on. So,
Yeah.
Whatever your favorite band is the best band in the world.
Absolutely. That's the point right there. I mean, because I've said it before too. Music is a time machine. If there is a time machine today, it's music. It'll bring you back.
It's
wherever
the only
you are.
art form that when you hear it, it brings you back to exactly where you were.
Absolutely. It puts you right in that psychological point, you know, right where you were when you hear certain songs.
If I can't feel it, it's shit.
Yeah.
I got it.
Put
I
that on
gotta
a
feel
t-shirt.
it.
Yeah.
I gotta feel it. I gotta feel the. Now that said, I feel hip hop. I feel Public Enemy. I feel NWA. I feel Les Paul. I feel Chet Atkins. You know what I mean? Like I feel James Brown. I feel Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation record. Like you gotta, if it moves you, if it touches something, if the hairs on the back of your neck go up, no matter what it is, you know. I mean, with that Bruno Mars track from a couple of years ago, fantastic song. You know, the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, fantastic song.
That's a great song, yeah.
If it moves you, it's good.
Right.
There's a lot of music out there, but what moves me may not move you.
I'm writing that down because
Hey, Paul, do you think it's bullshit that Iron Maiden didn't get in again?
Nope.
Or at all?
No, you know what? I'm at the point. I actually agree with Steve Harris and Lemmy and John Lydon and even Ozzy back in the day. And as much as they wanted to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Gene and Paul told everybody they didn't. I don't think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame validates anything, and rock and roll is supposed to be rebellious. And if the institution or if society embraces it, it's no longer dangerous to me. So if I would, as much as I would love to see them get the recognition, same thing with Motorhead. They should get the recognition. If you're going to have a Hall of Fame, you need to recognize bands and artists that have changed the world or changed music. To me, if you're going to be in the Hall of Fame, you've got to be a band that has made a contribution to pop culture or music, that there was music before your band and there's music after your band.
Yep.
Whatever your band is, if it's Jay-Z, more power to you. If it's Justin Timberlake, more power to you. If it's James Brown, and Iron Maiden is a band that invented prog metal. You had Rush was not a prog metal band; they were a prog rock band.
Right.
Before Iron Maiden, you could argue that but they weren't metal. There wasn't a metal band that took that kind of musicianship and that kind of melding of classical music and made these long, drawn-out bands.
What about Rainbow Rising? Some would argue that.
Well, I would say that neoclassical shred guitar was invented by Ritchie Blackmore. And I would say that Deep Purple, to a lesser degree, who influenced Iron Maiden, I would say one begat the other. Modern prog metal doesn't exist without Rainbow, without Iron Maiden.
What about Rush? What about Rush 2112?
It's not metal.
True.
It's not metal.
It isn't.
Hard rock?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not metal, but don't get me wrong. It's pre-metal. It's again, all of those lay the groundwork. Rush deserves. They took prog music and hard rock music and took it to a level and handed the baton off to Iron Maiden, or maybe handed it to. Remember, Rush and Rainbow came up around the same time.
Yeah, exact same time.
So those guys do their thing. They come full circle, and they're like, okay, who's going to take it to the next level? Maiden takes it to the next level. Because as good as Dio was as a vocalist, as good as Geddy Lee is as a vocalist, Bruce Dickinson is every bit as good, if not better.
Agreed.
Plus tons of unbelievable energy. The last tour I saw by him in his 60s, post-cancer, it's unbelievable the amount of energy they can still put out.
They're fantastic band. But, look, if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is a brand. Paul Stanley has made it very clear. If you had trademarked the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you could be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was something that Jan Wenner and the guys from Rolling Stone magazine, and if Rolling Stone magazine has to be the arbiter of what's cool, I don't have a music collection.
Yeah, you're screwed.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
Because they love television, and they love Lou Reed, and they love
Elvis Costello.
They love all of those. They love art.
Blondie.
They love artsy, new wave, avant-garde, East Village music, and that's valid, but they shit on AC/DC, and they shit on Led Zeppelin, and they shit on these bands, Kiss, and these bands that we love.
Metal and prog, they don't like.
And that's fine, because 250,000 people in Rio de Janeiro seeing Iron Maiden says they're wrong.
And elsewhere, all around the world.
There you go. Right.
People in South America, I think, are more like people in Japan and places like that. They appreciate good music. Like, I don't know what the hell happened to a lot of the United States, but, seems like, if you're a good metal band, you go to, like, Sao Paulo to play, and you play to, like, 80 or 100,000 people, and they know every word.
Yeah.
And they make upwards to instrumentals. They sing to Rush songs. Yeah. They create lyrics.
Yep. That's awesome. That is awesome.
They do it with Maiden. They do it with Rush.
Yeah, I know you're singing.
And I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier. It moves them. It touches them. It moves them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that has to do maybe too with culture. If you look at a lot of South American culture, there's a lot more music and art influenced in everyday life. A lot of my friends that still live in several countries that my sister used to live in down in South America have more of a, I think, well-balanced life. They're not like work, make a lot of money, have a huge house, bam. It's like, let's have lunch, let's enjoy, let's listen to music. I saw a lot more of that kind of culture,
They are passionate about their rock and roll. That's for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Again, rock and roll isn't a competition, or music isn't a competition. So more power to them. Anything that brings joy to your life is valid. And maybe, we look at those people in South America or maybe in Japan and stuff like that. And, Tom mentions work. Maybe we should take a second to breathe. Maybe we should take a second to appreciate tomorrow is not promised. So living in the moment is great. And having foresight down the road, as we talked about career-wise and interactions with people on a business level, but don't forget to live.
Right.
And music allows you to do that. Music allows you to live. Picking up a guitar. If you suck at guitar, have at it anyway. If you suck at singing, have at it anyway. Do whatever the hell you want to do, and don't let anybody tell you any different. And that's the sad part. The sad part is we as Americans look at South America and we look at Japan and we look at Europe and we wonder why Motorhead was playing stadiums in Europe, but they can't fill clubs in the United States.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Keep an eye on that bent Tom. He's trouble in a cup. He certainly is.
I have to, not to detract from what you said, Quentin, but I have to agree with you 100%, Paul. I think playing guitar for me is like the best antidepressant ever created.
Sure.
It's addictive, but in a good way. You know?
There you go.
No negative outcomes.
For me, it's a depressant because when I see people like our friend Josh Jones, who is half my age, or Caleb, I see guys like Josh Jones who's half my age and 10 times the guitar player I'll ever be. Yeah. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. I've been trying this since 1979. I have music flowing out of me. I live it. It's an essential part of my being. And I can't make what I hear up here and feel in here come out here.
Well, you see all
is Caleb the kid in Scotland?
No. Caleb is in Nerd Halen. The kid in Scotland's Cameron Brown.
Cameron Brown, another
he's really
supreme
Cameron
talent.
Brown, Cameron Cooper. Anybody named Cameron?
Maybe. Yeah, anyone named Cameron is really
but all the
good.
stuff behind it, I can't play this to save my life, but I still like messing around with it.
I don't care if anyone else ever hears me play guitar. It's cathartic. It's for me. It's, I have a son that's autistic and he does amazing art, but I'm like, would you ever, because he's 17 now, and he communicates well with me. He's 100% receptive, but he'll only give you a couple words back. So I said, do you ever want to sell your stuff? And he's no, he'd rather destroy it than sell it, because for him it's private. It's his therapy. It's not about, like, he had a friend of his mother's bought a painting for a couple $100, but he's like, no, that's not for other people. That's for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's give away a guitar pick, guys, shall we?
Let's give that pick away.
All right. Let me see here where we are. All righty. Okay, let's take care of a couple of things first before we do that. You kids in the chat, be on standby. We got a Motorhead question for you.
Yeah.
Not a hard one, but got a killer Motorhead 2005 guitar pick up for grabs. First of all, that guy right there.
Hi, everybody.
Handcrafts custom cigar box guitars, and he will certainly make you one.
I got one.
It's beautiful.
I have never played a cigar box guitar. I can't imagine what they're like.
Well, 3 strings, open chords.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, that's the way I build them. So.
And you cut the necks yourself?
Yeah. Yep. Piece
That's
of
awesome.
oak. Cut it, carve it. As long as I get some cool boxes.
And Brandon,
yeah, go ahead.
What's the run you're doing right now?
I don't know if I can. I'll show you the prototype. Hang on one second.
I almost feel like I want to go get a copy of the another copy of the Motorhead box set and send it to you and have you build a cigar box guitar out of that. No Remorse, out of that. Could you do that?
Hell yeah.
That would be nice.
It seems like the same paper. It seems like
dude.
The same paper that a cigar box is made out of.
Yeah, I can. If I need to reinforce it, I can put it over something or put. But yeah, well, definitely
do that just to screw it. Oh,
we shall talk. There's my email right there. But
by the way,
here
one more piece of Motorhead swag when I leave before we leave.
Yeah. So this I'm making a run of Van Halen style striped series cigar boxes. This
awesome.
one, I didn't carve this neck. This is an old bass neck I had, but I tried my hand at painting it, and I even tried painting the headstock. So it came out okay. I think it came out pretty good. Sounds good. But yeah, I like really trying to do different things like that with the cigar boxes. I make most of the stuff myself if I can. For instance, I'll use like this is actually a picture hanger. So I'll use that's for the bridge or the tailpiece. For a nut, I'll use like a piece of threaded rod, and It works. This one's fretless, but I mean, they sound great. Anybody can play it. It's like I said, but I love carving the necks and just like, I sand them, stain them, and they look really nice. They look weathered, and they sound pretty good. Historically, they're what people used to do way back. They would take a piece of wire from a broom and like tack it to a side of a barn and kind of prop it up somehow and play with a glass bottle, one string, and that's how they evolved. And then people would just build them from whatever they could find. And there's a lot of cigar boxes out there, so like that whole shelf is full of them. So
he made that one right there. Yeah,
Tony's got one. Sandra has one. A couple. I actually sent one to Cameron Cooper, and he's done a couple of YouTube videos on it. And there's another kid that was on Johnny's show, Tyler Morris. He emailed me and wanted one. I sent one to him. Amazing. I like those. I wanted to send them one, and I said, you got to do some slide on it because Tyler's loving the blues, so he would love doing some slide. And Cameron Cooper wanted to do some slide, so he played a couple of. He's done a couple of YouTube videos, him playing slide. But yeah, it's awesome. It's fun, and it keeps me sane, and it keeps me from, getting mad. I'll say
that's
that.
art, man. That's a beautiful art.
Very cool, Brennan.
All right, kids, let's give away this guitar pick. Let me show everyone what we're giving away here one more time. All right, so what we're playing for is this 2005 Inferno Tour Lemmy guitar pick right there. Yeah. All right, so
someone's either peeing or drinking.
Or both at the same time.
That's it.
Yeah, in one end and out the other, because you only rent beer.
That's it. You do.
All right, kids. What we're going to do is post this question on the screen. The first answer that we see in the chat will be our winner. If you are the winner, there's an email down below where it says merch. Email me your name and address. I'll mail you this guitar pick out Monday morning. And so while we're on that, in another month, on June the 19th, which is in a month, we are going to have a giveaway, and all of this year's winners, and there is your list right there. A lot of you in the chat are on this list, but this is this year's winners. We are about to approach our 1-year anniversary here at Show Me Your Pick. And so on that 1-year anniversary, we are going to have a drawing, which will involve all of these guys, and whoever wins tonight, next week, the week after, and the week after. Yep. You'll be added to that list. And Brendan, you want to show us what we're going to give?
Let's show them what you're going to win. Yeah, hang on one second.
What do we got for them, Johnny?
Let me do this. You don't want to see me get up.
Yeah, someone's in his underwear. While you're doing that, here's one last piece of Motorhead swag I didn't show. Here's your Motorhead phones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
I was going to ask you about that, Paul.
Yeah, these are the Motorhead phones that I've never worn. Look at the dust on the top of the. I've never worn, but they are basically remember when Beats by Dre became a thing?
Yep.
Everybody wanted their own version of it. So they made Motorhead headphones.
Oh, those were awesome.
And I was sent a set of them from the band. My friend Kenny, who worked promotion for the band, sent them to me. And I want to wear them in tribute, but I don't want to ruin them because I don't think they make them anymore.
Yeah.
They came and went pretty quick. But they allegedly sound better than Beats by Dre. I've never taken them out of the box.
I would keep them in the box. Absolutely.
I mean, I've never even opened it. So
yeah,
I like how it's got like a road case style.
Yeah, well, they did that when they were doing Motorizer. Everything was brought back to the old No Sleep at All sort of logo from the 80s.
Yeah.
Sandra said, "Nice."
So there you go. That was a good stall. Hopefully that stall for Brendan.
Yeah, sweet.
Excellent.
Perfect. Do you have a bowl for me?
Oh, there I am. So what you're gonna win, folks, is yes, it's another cigar box, but it's a smaller it's a smaller cigar box, and it's actually a little amp. So
neat.
I made a little amp. It's got a little holder for a slide that will come with it. It's got a little guitar tuner, and it's run on a little 9-volt battery. It's a 5-watt amp. And,
on the couch. Cool, perfect.
Yeah, so perfect to bring with you. Just plug in and tune your guitar.
Okay.
So it's not a guitar. That's going to be the amp that you plug your cigar box guitar into.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah,
that is cool.
That's your prize, kids.
Yep, and that will be on June the 19th. We'll make a promo video in the next week or so about that. And you winners in these next few weeks will be added to that list. Yeah, so coming up June the 19th, you kids right there.
Yep.
And whoever else wins in the meantime. So let's give away this pick.
Yeah.
You kids ready to type? All right. So one question on the screen. If you're the winner, email me your name and address. Email's down below in the description. And here we go. You ready? On the 2009 U.S. tour, what famous drummer filled in for Mickey D on drums for 13 shows in 2019 on the U.S. leg of that tour? What famous drummer filled in?
Dun, 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 dun.
Too much time. They're Googling.
Oh, of course they are.
Too much time.
Anyone? Bueller.
Randy Price.
Oh, Randy Price.
Yeah, it'll be Randy Price.
There it is.
Randy
Awesome,
Price.
Randy.
Nicely done, Randy Price.
Super good, buddy.
Nice, Randy.
All right, man.
He knew it right off the bat. Nice, Randy. I saw you this afternoon with Johnny on his live thing on the internet. Yeah. So
Cool.
Randy, email me your information. I'll mail you this guitar pick out Monday morning. Thank you for being here, dude. And thank everybody
Randy.
for
Super
being
cool,
here.
man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And you'll be added to that list for our 1-year anniversary prize coming up here in a few weeks. Yep. All right.
Coming up
nice.
quick.
Nice.
Sweet. Chickadee.
Randy Price on the scene.
I was at the 13th show, the final show that he was supposed to play with them. And it was weird. It was the last thing I did as a staff member for the radio station that I worked for in Kansas City. I was fired shortly thereafter. radio is like that. It's like being a quarterback in football. You get let go, and you're here today, gone later today. But it was at a place called the Midland Theater in Kansas City, and it was funny because I've met Matt over the years as well, but it's always that social sort of, hey man, like, the same people you see in a bar over and over again.
Yeah.
He doesn't know me. I obviously know who he is, but it's just that you know each other. You go, what's up, Matt? Yeah. Hey man, how you doing? Good to see you again. Good to see you as well. And then he gets behind the kit and he kills it.
Yeah.
He said it was the toughest gig when we talked before he went on. He said it was the toughest gig he'd ever played. Was playing to Motorhead. He didn't know all the songs, but he knew, sort of knew the rhythms and everything. But he said that the Phil Taylor stuff is way tougher than you would think. But it was cool to see Matt Sorum with Motorhead. And I remember introducing the band and saying, this band belongs in the fucking Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Maybe that was why I was fired. I'm not sure. But it was cool. It was cool to see Matt Sorum. And I didn't know why Mickey wasn't in the band. And if anybody does, I still don't know why Mickey wasn't there that time.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Huh.
I do not know. Oh, that's cool.
That's
there you go. Aftershock.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal band.
Yep.
And this one is from the last tour.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the jewel of the lot.
That one's cool.
Very nice.
Nice pick.
Yeah, and it's funny. All the years, I usually don't get artists to sign things. When I was early on, you'll notice that Dream record that I showed you earlier is autographed. My Guns N' Roses is autographed from 1995 when we had Slash in the studio. But I normally don't have people sign things because we're working, and that's something they do for fans and stuff.
Sure.
But now, as I get older, I'm starting to take advantage of the situation and at least getting a photograph with some of these people, just so that I can say when I look back on it and go, I had a chance. Never got, again, as Motorhead aren't my favorite band, even though I have all this shit. Never got him to sign anything. Never got a pick. Those are the two things that I've never done with that band. Some bands I do have some picks from, but Jesus, Motorhead is, and again, what an iconic logo.
Yeah.
All right, Paul. This one right here, I've got a multiple of.
No, you don't have to.
No, I want to.
No, that's
you'll notice, Paul, when Tony wants to do something, it's going to happen.
That's how he
you won't be able to talk him out of it.
Yeah, I've got a multiple right there. It's totally my pleasure.
Well, I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Completely unnecessary, but I appreciate the gesture.
Yeah.
That's very nice of you.
DM me and I will mail this out. You remember when he teamed up with Wendy O and did the country song?
Oh yeah, Don't Touch Me There.
Tammy Wynette.
Stand By Your Man. Stand by
Your Man.
He did Don't Touch Me There, and he did some stuff with Girl School too. The Head Girl EP, which I don't have. I love Wendy O.
Yeah.
Here's one that may not get shown on this show, which is a rare one. I whipped out just for the occasion.
In fact,
Tony.
In fact, Stand By Your Man was integral to Eddie Clarke's exit from the band.
Oh yeah,
he was pissed. He was pissed. He didn't like it at all. Thought it was an issue.
Man, oh man.
I love the font on the Plasmatics one.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
It reminds
me. Was Wendy O the one that came out just wearing whipped cream?
Yep. Yeah. Whipped cream, or she would have electrical tape on her nipples.
Yes.
Can I tell you guys the Wendy O. Williams story from the whiskey?
Absolutely, sure.
All right. So it's about middle of 1981. Plasmatics are doing a show. I walk up to the dressing room door, stage time. I open the door, and Wendy is standing there in a pair of high-heeled, sort of an, I don't know what you'd call them, lace-up boots, completely naked, black grease paint here, and a horn coming out of the top with a leather strap holding it on. And she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me. And I don't flinch because I worked in Hollywood. I've seen it all, right? Inside, I'm going, holy crap. She looks right at me in the eye, and she says, showtime. And I said, you ready to go? And she says, yep. And I said, it's this way. And the band came and followed up. We walked to the stage completely naked. That girl had the balls of a rhino. She had the balls of a rhino. She was such an awesome entertainer. Her whole band was absolutely first class. And so I'm there standing at the backstage door watching them perform. The fire marshal is standing 10 feet down the stairs at the steel door. And all he had to do was stick his head around the corner and see her naked. He'd have shut that club down in half a second. The fine would have been astronomical.
Oh, man.
He never looked around the corner. He never looked around the corner. Awesome show. Awesome show.
It's funny. I wouldn't exactly call Wendy attractive.
She was hot.
I would call her hot.
She was hot.
There was something. Yeah. I mean, a body that you could die for because she was in fantastic shape.
She was hot.
But she was to women what Lemmy is to men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was the analogy right there. Yes.
He was the female Lemmy, and Wendy didn't give a fuck about anything. Couldn't care less. Couldn't sing. Didn't care.
She was just like Lemmy.
She was the female Lemmy. So
awesome, you wouldn't want to hear the Plasmatics with anybody else singing.
Oh no. And the metal record she did, which I like to call, it's a Kiss record with Wendy O. Williams singing. It's called Wow. It's the one with her closest thing to a hit she ever had called It's My Life. But she was not attractive, but something super attractive about Wendy O. I can't put my finger on it. There was something. Wendy was the kind of girl, I think, that you could lose a fight to and have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't gonna give up. Wendy wasn't gonna let you have that. She was a dominant personality.
It's the confidence and the zero fucks attitude.
She just did not give a shit. And again, a more rockin' body than Lita Ford, than Sandy Soraya, than anybody in Vixen. I mean, Wendy from the neck down was just built for fun. Yeah. Wendy from the neck up looked like Lemmy. She was as harsh. By the way, for those that don't have it, the Lemmy EP, the Wendy O. Williams Lemmy EP is like a 3-song thing. With Stand By Your Man, it was basically Lemmy jamming with the Plasmatics. It's Stand By Your Man, a cover of No Class, and I think a Plasmatics tune on it too. Fuck, I can't remember. I'm sorry. But it's basically the cover, the Tammy Wynette cover. It's the Motorhead cover, and it's a Plasmatics cover. There's a 3-song thing.
Yeah. I was about to ask you, Paul. I just saw Ace in there. I was going to ask you earlier. Lemmy and Ace have been out of the room for quite a long time.
I'm worried about it.
I was worried about if something was happening.
Well, Ace, this is his quiet time because later on at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, and there's another show with Johnny Bean, and they are in a routine. They know that when that show happens to act up. Ace has come in and out a couple of times.
They're resting up for Saturday Night Live.
and Lemmy, and it's funny because you guys have watched Saturday Night Live. You know what happens during that show. He comes back and forth. He bites me. He takes stuff. Lemmy will come in. She'll start making noise. They're too quiet right now. It's concerning to me. I know Lemmy. Lemmy is old now, so she's old and arthritic. So she was outside. I went into the pool for the first time today. So she was outside and got a little bit of exercise. So I'm guessing she's exhausted. But yeah, him, Ace. I can't whistle, by the way. You just learned something. I can't whistle. I'm physically, I can. That's the most whistling I can do. He might be outside. I might have the back door open. He might be out on the back porch. Oh no, here he comes. Were you sleeping? What were you doing, asshole?
Oh.
What were you doing?
Nothing, Dad.
I love
so
you too.
cute.
Are you resting up so you can fuck up the next show? I bet you are.
So
you jerk.
cute.
Absolutely.
Beautiful he is.
He's a good dog. He's rescues
Wow.
are always always roll the dice with a rescue.
Always, they're the best
Um,
though.
But he's a good boy most of the time, right, buddy? I know.
Oh,
I love you too.
If you get a good rescue, they will love you more than
You like
any
don't,
other.
don't you like
dog.
how he bares his teeth right before he kisses me? People
Yeah.
are like, oh my god, he's gonna bite him. He doesn't. It's like a smile.
I like how he gets the whole teeth over your hand, and then he just barely touches down. And
Oh yeah, no, he's a and it's funny. I didn't train him for any of those things. He's an idiot.
he knows his bite strength very well.
He's a good dog. As long as you're with me.
Yeah.
He will protect the house. Lemmy will protect. She's actually more aggressive than he is. She's just old now.
Well, that's good. I mean, like 9 times out of 10, you would never have to get to having to resort to your firearm because you see those 2 dogs, anyone's taking off.
Yeah.
They're not going to stick around.
People aren't looking for a challenge. When people are trying to break into your house, they're not looking for a challenge. So usually when somebody comes to the door or gets to the backyard or comes in the neighborhood and these 2 are at the window scratching, that's usually a message to go to the next house. God help anybody that hurts these dogs. So because the next step is not, I'm not calling the police. When seconds count, the police are minutes away. So, and I live in Arizona, and Arizona is Yosemite Sam country. It's one of those things.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a video on YouTube of a couple who had to wait in their closet and they show 8.5 minutes. And if you watch the whole video, what 8.5 minutes is like when these guys are going through the house and you hear them firing shots into closets and bedrooms. The cops literally got there right before they were about to go in their bedroom and fire a couple of shots into the closet where they were hiding. Yeah. It's like they just got lucky that they lived. I mean,
no,
8.5 minutes,
Arizona's a great place with this because everybody in Arizona is armed, and this. So if you're thinking about doing something illegal, that there's a 50-50 chance. Of course, that's the case anywhere, but in Arizona, it's clear.
Yeah.
So there's a 50-50 chance if you go through that window with a screwdriver, you could be zipped up in a body bag. And I certainly don't advocate that behavior, but I understand it.
And you guys have traditional like castle doctrine kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
And is it stand your ground or they're pretty
Arizona is wide open. I mean, not to get too deep into that talk, but Arizona, you are allowed to carry concealed without a permit. That's how permissive this state is.
Wow.
That's why all the gun YouTubers live out there. It makes sense.
A lot of them do. A lot of them here in New Mexico, Nevada.
Yeah.
A lot of them do. And
I just find it so funny. The people that are big gun enthusiasts are usually the safest people that almost never even register on the charts as committing crimes unless it's like someone with a mental health issue and then they happen to own weapons. You know what I mean? It's not. I've never seen where a gun enthusiast all of a sudden decides then he wants to become Rambo. It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. There's
a
a certain thing
on ammo, but that's it.
No, there's certainly a screw loose with people that engage in that kind of behavior. I don't use the term lightly. I'm the most anti-gun guy you'll ever meet. Guns are a tool. They're real-time life insurance, and they're not toys and they're not cool. They're just not. They do their thing. Mickey D. Oh, you got a scorpion stick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Do you know Mickey's real name?
Is what?
It's almost impossible to pronounce. He's Greek. It's Michael, and I'm gonna Diagladou or something like that. Diagladou, or it's such a weird Dialoglu.
Right. Yeah.
Delaloglu. It's Delaoglu.
Yeah.
Delaglau or Delaglu. He's Greek. So Mickey D is probably the best way to go with that.
Not the best rock and roll stage name on earth. Yeah.
No, but he is one of the best rock and roll drummers on earth. And he's never given credit for being as good as he is because he played with Motorhead for 30 years.
Yeah, he is good. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's give the kids a hint on what's going to be happening here next week on the show, guys. And we're going to let somebody give you that information, and we're going to bring her in now, our lovely co-producer, Sandra Pokorney, right there.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, Pokorney! Oh, Pokorney! Oh, Pokorney! Been a long time.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
That was nice. I love his Lemmy voice when he sings to me like that.
Lemmy, he's a character, man. Rest in peace,
Next
son.
week.
That's it.
Next week we have Queensryche
Queensryche.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
Oh, cool.
with 2 special guests. Do I get to say who they are?
You do. Rock on.
John Mancuda and Rikki Starz are going to be joining us.
Nice.
live.
Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent.
Mancuda's a massive Queensryche fan. You will learn a lot.
Rikki Starz is a massive Queensryche
That's so cool.
I'm gonna have to catch that show.
Together. Oh,
Yeah.
I'll be sure not to miss that one.
If you think I talk a lot, welcome to John Mancuda.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much for tonight, man. We appreciate you so
Yeah,
much.
Paul.
I mean, geez, man.
Everybody NeanderPaul right there.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Anytime you want to talk about Motorhead, I'm in. I love it. There are very few bands that I appreciate more, even though they're not one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Look, I do that all the time. Like quickly, if I were to name my favorite bands, I don't know that Motorhead it would be like, what did I say earlier? AC/DC, Extreme, Van Halen, Led Zeppelin, The Cult, Seven Dust. So now we're already at 7, and I haven't even mentioned Motorhead.
He's not even in your top 10.
They probably are, but they're near the bottom of it. Like they're not a band that and I think this is their problem. They're a lot like Deep Purple. They're not a band that immediately comes to mind.
Right.
You have to think, and then when you get to it, you go, "Oh shit, Motorhead!
Yeah.
I love Motorhead."
Right.
When people talk about great thrash bands, immediately Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, Slayer, Testament, Exodus, Overkill. Now we're 7, 8 bands in. Nobody has mentioned Motorhead.
Yeah, I know. That's how it is.
Anthrax.
That is how it is.
It's like when you're cooking.
They're a little underground.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the best part.
I love it. They're everybody's favorite band that is nobody's favorite band. Like AC/DC, they sneak into your CD collection. They sneak into your life, and before you know it, you're like, "Oh fuck, I love that band."
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, kids.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you being here, Paul.
Thanks for
This has
being
been
here.
great, man.
Such a pleasure, man.
This is awesome.
Saturday Night
Absolutely.
Live's coming up, so make sure you tune into that.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live in just
Like 42
over
minutes.
half an hour. Yeah,
Could have
yeah.
catch a nap.
I have
Take a
enough
quick
time to
nap.
go drop some kids off at the pool.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Make a
Double.
sandwich.
Slam
the brown
back a
bamboo.
couple of Tina's Red Hot Beef burritos,
There you
Oh, boy.
go.
and set up for
Nice.
another 3 hours of nonsense.
It does go
Do you
quick,
have
though.
any more cookies or muffins to make it through this one, or did you run
I don't
out?
have, I got to talk to my friend to get some cookies, and I'm almost out of them. You saw, I almost finished that bottle of Maker's Mark, and I'm not a big drinker anymore. Not that I'm recovering or anything. I just, and look, sometimes doing Saturday Night Live, you have to be under the influence. You really do.
T-Cake, how'd you do on your bottle?
I hear that.
It's still there. I had a yay much
did you?
left in a bottle of Jack, and I thought, Motorhead, this would be a good night, and so, but yeah, gosh, I've been carried away, And yeah, so
Should we? Does CK want to tell the Lemmy joke that he tells in the movie?
I don't. I just watched. I rewatched that movie this week, and he does tell 3 quick ones, but I don't remember if I can recall them. Do you remember them?
How do you make a dead baby float?
That was one of them. Yeah.
2 scoops of vanilla ice cream, 1 scoop of dead baby.
You got the other 2? There's 3
No.
of them he tells in a row.
No, I just remember that one.
Yeah.
That's the best one.
Yeah, it is.
So good.
nice.
Oh man.
Awesome.
And that was the same reaction. He does that. He tells the joke, then he just looks away and takes a drag of his cigarette. He's like, "Mic drop. I'm out."
Yep.
Excellent. Excellent.
We also forgot to mention, aren't they like historically the world's loudest band? At least that's their claim. Louder than the Who. They're so loud.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely loud.
the only band I will tell you, when I saw them at that show at the channel, I could feel that the kick drum hit me right in the chest. But ZZ Top I thought was louder.
Ah,
I thought Slayer.
Really?
We went to see Slayer. Was pretty
Slayer.
good.
Slayer's loud.
Loudest
Yeah.
band I've ever seen live is Ted Nugent.
Nice. In the
It
70s?
was so loud.
Slayer
It
was
was
louder.
painful. It was
I've
painful to
seen Nugent
watch.
twice, and Slayer was
You know.
louder.
That's what it was like at the Big Four when Slayer played. I saw the Big Four here and out in Indio, and when Slayer started, when those kick drums kicked in, the ground rumbled. It was like hell was opening up. But
Yes.
afterwards, I don't have tinnitus, but does anybody here on the panel have tinnitus?
Yeah,
Charles,
I
do you have
have
tinnitus?
it.
All
I
right.
have it. I have
All right,
it.
so you know the sound I'm talking about. After the show, for 2 days,
Yes.
I could hear the sound of the ocean, like when you pick up
Yes.
a seashell. There's that light hissing.
And if you cover your ear, if
Yeah.
you cover both your ears, it's crystal clear. The sound
Yes.
you're talking about is crystal clear, and it doesn't just go
Yeah.
away.
That was
Yes, well, that's
Slayer.
it. In 2 days, it did go away, and what that is inside your ear canal. This is why you should always wear ear protection.
Yes.
Inside your ear canal, you have little hairs, little fibrous hairs that hear the sound, and that music is so loud it blows the hairs down.
Mhm.
And sometimes they don't come back up,
You don't
and
come
you lose
back
the
up.
sensation.
That's right.
maybe
And
that's where my hearing went. That all of our hearing has gone down in
Well,
our life.
before the
I'm
word
sure.
tinnitus came out, they used to call it high decibel hearing loss.
Mm-hmm.
What they called it. It's tinnitus.
What's that?
How many
I
times have you gone to a show, you wake up the next day and you hear
Yep. Yep. Oh, I
Yeah.
caused it. I did it. It was me.
The Who in 1980, I was like this the whole time. I was a lad, but that was the loudest show I remember. Yeah.
Yep.
It's technically the SPLs that do the damage, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
SPL stands for
Sound pressure level. So
Right.
you could blow your ears out with headphones because it's so close and concentrated, or you could do it with big speakers. And I think a lot of kids in the generation of headphones, I know I wore them a lot, got a lot of ear problems from that. Or you could just be like me and be an idiot and have your ear next to a 412 cabinet going, wait, is that? Yeah. Okay, wait.
Yeah.
I'm in tune now. Because the drummer wouldn't fucking stop like playing. Okay, wait. Okay, yeah, I'm good. And your ear's right next to that cabinet. It's just
Yeah, you at a club up against the stage, the cabs are right there. That's where it happened. Right?
I got throat polyps because of a guitar player that didn't know how to turn down.
wow.
Because I had to relearn how to sing and everything. The guitar player he was an Yngwie clone and loved everything dimed and was so loud in rehearsal. We didn't have to be that loud in rehearsal, but he was so loud that I would have to almost scream to sort of get everything going. And then eventually at one point I started to sound like Tone Loc for like 4 months. So they did the laryngoscopy and they took the camera, went down the throat. And like courting your voice, this is why David Lee Roth can't sing anymore. It's why Ian Gillan can't sing. It's why Tom Kiefer had to relearn how to sing. Axl, Steven Tyler, all of those guys that have that shrill, screeching voice.
John
That's
Bon Jovi.
too much falsetto. because you're trying to force so much air and so much range and so much power, and your vocal cords do this, and you end up scarring, and you end up having chambers. You end up with chambers, and you get semitones that come through, and you can no longer hit a high note because of the scar tissue has now closed off that range, that part of your vocal range, because of the volume. So I guess what we're trying to say is turn the fuck down. Turn down, get a good mix, use your inner ears, but don't crank them up there because your hearing doesn't come back. It's gone. When it's gone, it's gone. It's dead.
At least the generation of musicians coming up today have in-ears and they're not using wedges, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Just all stage volume, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta let Paul go, guys.
Back in the 70s, they didn't know any better.
Yeah, if you guys want to, you guys can have at it. I do have to use the bathroom.
We are going to shove off here.
Yeah.
I want to ask you backstage something, Paul. Everybody in the chat and watching on replay, thank you so much for watching.
Take care, chat.
Leave a thumbs up for us, please. Subscribe if you're not already. We appreciate you watching. NeanderPaul, thanks for being here, bro.
Thanks for tolerating me.
It's been a blast. It's been a blast. Mr. Brendan B. Squared, Bent, Tom, Sandra, Charles Green, CK, you guys all rock.
You guys are the best.
Hang out a moment, and everybody, Van Halen fans, we will see you hopefully tomorrow night for a lot of Van Halen talk right there. Halenville Live, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. Otherwise, everybody have a great weekend and a great upcoming week. We'll see you right back here, 9 o'clock Eastern time next week for Queensryche, John Mancuda, Rikki Starz, and the live crew. Have a great one. We love you. See ya.